Okay, back again, looking at more sketches. It is, this was the 13th when this was written. Another sketch. Looks like about 32 bars, so a good sketch. Probably a whole song. I could probably muster this together and make it something. Don't remember what it is. That's typically how this goes. If I sketch a lot of stuff out, I gotta look at it later and go, geez, who wrote this crap? I don't even remember. But that's how it is. Again, the goal, November 9th, have the whole thing done. Have the whole thing published, written, produced, recorded, publicity, whatever. I'm still thinking the same thing: piano, acoustic guitar, like mandolin, banjo, maybe like very, very little drums, if any. I don't want to use samples if I can get away with it. And I have a lot of experience recording, so it should not be a big deal. After I get the sketches done, like I said in the other ones, I will do the sketching for lyrics and walk through exactly how I do that and how I take a big giant mess of words and make something out of it that makes sense, that isn't just weird. So this one, this sketch looks pretty complete. I'll play it and I'll go through what I'm thinking looking at it. So yeah, here we are. It's in D, it looks like, unless I wrote that wrong, but it doesn't look like it did. So here we go. I think I wrote it weird. I wrote the pickup like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't think that that's right. It sounds weird, but that's okay. I don't know about that line either. Maybe. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. So, I don't know how much of this to explain, but it's like, it's written E, 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 F sharp, E. I know there's an E in an A chord, and I know an A chord is the 5 of D, which is the key we're in. So that's about 4 or 5 music theory logical steps that, people talk about, I guess, and I always tell my students, they always have questions about modes and chord structures and all that kind of stuff. The very first thing, especially if you play guitar, learn how to read, okay? If you can't read, all these questions just gonna go just right over your head. So if we're talking about D major, this D is the root, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's A. Okay, A is the 5, the 5th degree of the scale. If I take all the notes in the scale and make triads, then I get an A major chord. Right? So if I play an A major chord or in a progression that is in D, an A chord that's in tune, it will pull to D, especially if it's A dominant 7. Right, so if I see E's in the melody, I know that that is a good logical chord for this tune because it's in the same key. Now that line is B, D, 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 E, D, B, D, D, E. I know that's probably a G chord. Or E minor with E minor 7. Right? That's another music theory thing, I guess, or just ear, or whatever you want to call it. So the melody goes G, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, D, F sharp, G. I know G is in an A dominant 7 chord, and that's going to pull to D, right? So it's logical for that to make sense. It doesn't mean that it has to be that. There's ways to subvert that, and there's substitutions instead of that, right? And we can do that. So let's see. So let's take the last 4 bars. I'm just going to play it like this. So that's what we're saying it probably will be, but let's do a little bit of exploring, right? So the first chord's D. Now the melody note is C sharp, right? So what if we make it B, I don't know, B sus2, B sus2, because the top note's C sharp. Doesn't mean, it don't even really need to be that. I'm just thinking of chords that are in the key at least, right? And then the top note is G, right? Instead of making it A7, I'll make it G, right? So then we have this. That's just as good and to me interchangeable. Like they're both pulling back to D, right? And that's probably where this is going to go because this is like almost a complete thought, this entire thing. But this is the kind of stuff I'm doing when I'm looking through this. When I start trying to marry words to it, oh, I can do this and subvert. Like this sounds a little too hokey. It sounds a little too, I don't know. It just sounds a little too dumb before. Maybe I just don't want it to sound like that. It doesn't really matter why. I really just don't want it to do that. So I need some options. I need to know what I can do. Even what I can't do. Played a weird chord instead of, so instead of playing, I played F sus2. Only because I'm thinking B sus2. I played that earlier, right? So that doesn't even make any sense. How about, let's think of one that does make sense. So G makes sense, A makes sense, B minor doesn't really make sense, but we use that too. The high note is G, So let's play C. Right? C would definitely not make sense because in D major there's a sharp. There's two sharps, but one of the big ones is C sharp. Because it's the leading tone to D. Right? Okay, so let's see. So let's go over the two we have now. So we have this one, or is it three? I can't remember. That's the A7 one. And then this one. And then, or this one. So all those are good things that you can just fiddle around with and see which one strikes the most chord, whatever feels the best to do. It's not it's not that analytical, I guess. It's more, okay, these are the things that are available to me. Maybe I can be creative and pull one out that shouldn't be available to me, but it'll still sound kind of cool, especially if I can resolve it or find a way to repeat something that it does so it makes more sense to the person listening to it. I talked about that in another video, that if you hear something you don't like, do it again, or maybe even do it more than 2 times. And then it doesn't sound as weird, it doesn't sound as wrong. And that becomes an option to, you're looking at your sketch and you're going, well, I don't really think this is the greatest thing ever written. But if you do it a few more times, you might change your mind, right? You might think, oh, now this sounds okay. This thing, for instance, this B sus2 with a C sharp in it, I don't think I really like that starting out. But I think it sounds pretty cool there. So I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of that one. On to the next one.